Welcome, everybody, to the final Global R&D of 2023. This year has really been crazy. We have seen some bears, but definitely the last few weeks have seen a ton of actions around description, ICP climbing into top 20. And I think we have had a very nice end of this year and are very excited and optimistic and have all reasons to be so for the next years. To this end, we have prepared like an agenda reviewing the past year, a peek into the next year, and we'll finish off a demo. So for the review, we have prepared some metrics to really, put the foundation of our excitement for next year's. And then we look into like more content-wise into what has happened last year. Of course, SNS is one of those things that we totally need to look at. We want to look at how the ICP protocol has evolved over the last year. And then, of course, the protocol without the ecosystem, the community, is rather pointless. And so we also have some exciting news on that front. Then we got to switch gear and look at next year, what's coming there. Björn will give you a peek review of what we can expect. And then we will end up with like a demo by Bioniq. So let's put this off, and I'm very happy to hand this over to Kyle to present the 2023 metrics. Kyle, take it away.
Thanks, Jan. Yeah, appreciate it. We're going to talk a little bit about the industry and then go into ICP specifically. This first slide that we'll get to is going to show, the 2023 has been a brutal year for our industry. It'll be the first time ever our industry saw a significant decline in developer activity. You can see the stats there on that bar chart on the left. We've seen a significant amount of developers leave the industry as a whole, but we've kept pushing forward. I like this. I like that little astronaut moving through because we're moving forward. If we go to the next slide, you'll see that while we have not necessarily gained as many developers as we did in 2022 and 2021, given the context of the industry, we remained pretty flat. You can see the first half of this year on that line chart to the left. The first half, we maybe lost a little bit of developers, but we're starting to make that back in the second half, and we're going to, looks like, end the year on plus 30% developer growth. And that's mostly driven by part-time developers, but part-time developers tend to be a leading indicator for full-time. It's basically a sign that the industry is healing and that more developers are exploring coming back in. Throughout all of 2023, we've really been moving up across all the ecosystems, the crypto ecosystems. We've been moving up. We're usually around like number 7 in terms of our ranking. And then in terms of repos, the total number of repos, we're now in the top 5. So you can see the number of open GitHub repos has increased 56% this year. Go to the next slide, you can see some of the impacts of that. So cycles burned is the #1 metric we should all be looking at. That is direct economic value created by the internet computer. And again, we still continue to see continued growth in that metric. Honestly, I think we'll probably end December having tripled January's numbers. And so we're seeing strong growth. Some of that's caused by continued adoption of CKBTC. So look at that chart on the right there. That y-axis really kind of distorts because of December. We saw both a lot of new economic activity for CKBTC with the launch of Bioniq, as long as non-economic activity with people experimenting with BRC20 tokens. Again, thinking in the context of leading indicators, typically people want to see increased movement of tokens, so the number of transactions per day, before they start increasing the amount of volume that they do. So this is a positive sign moving into next year. We go to the next slide. We'll talk about our nodes and how they continue to decentralize. A 67% increase in the number of node providers we have versus last year. We've more than doubled the countries that we're located in, as well as the number of data centers, of unique data centers. So again, this story of continual decentralization. And then again, in 2023, we introduced the Gen 2 nodes. Look at these 2 stats on the right, though, these continuous improvements. So these are like NNS proposals. we're averaging almost one proposal per day. I don't know that there's any other blockchain that's able to kind of maintain that level of continuous improvement. And it's especially impressive when you consider that we're doing this in the context of a decentralized model with the DAO, the SNS DAO, controlling it. Moving on to the next slide, you see the NNS, more data on the NNS. This might surprise you, but we're bringing on, in terms of newly staked ICP, so ICP coming off of somewhere else, going on to the NNS, per month, we're seeing 1.7 million new stakes throughout all of 2023. And then this bar chart on the right, those pink lines are the net change in locked ICP. You can see month after month, except for September, we've seen growth in the amount of ICP that's locked on the NNS. And then the light purple bars is the net change in dissolving. So essentially the story there is, as ICP dissolves off the NNS, it's not getting replaced by people who are either newly staking and instantly dissolving or going from locked to dissolve. And this trend has been consistent throughout the entire life cycle of the NNS. It's not hard to forecast into the near future a time in which there really won't be any dissolving ICP on the NNS. If we move on to the next slide, I think that NNS really touches on the commitment that people who are participating in governance, that they have to the long-term, in terms of their long-term commitment. You may have noticed trading volume on exchanges for ICP has been up recently. Some of that is due to a liquidity program that went active in the second half of this year. And it also has to do with new integrations where there are more exchanges listing ICP. We have more wallets that are integrating on ICP. And I would expect this to continue into 2024 with the launch of ICP ETP. Go to the next slide. All right, events. So let's talk about adoption and outreach. You can see the number of events there on that bar chart. It peaked in September, October, November. I know the events team is extremely exhausted as they were extremely busy in Q4. So events, I know, is going to be a high priority for DFINITY moving forward. It's a great chance for us to talk and meet people in person, to really establish what the internet computer is and what it can do. And you can also see from those colors that we're actually being very targeted in Asia, specifically trying to establish our presence there. And then you can also see high-level marketing success in terms of the number of PR mentions that ICP has had. Our social dominance has tripled versus relative to 2022. Twitter engagement's up, newsletter is up as well. If we go to the next slide, we can see more grassroots. So ICP Hubs is more of our grassroots effort. And again, this team has been extremely busy. You could see just from when they launched with only 4 regions in Q1, they've now expanded to 19 regions. And these numbers of reach is very impressive. I'll let you go ahead and read through those. But more, I want to stress, between these 2 slides, you have a high-level marketing effort and then a grassroots effort, and that the way that those 2 things can have basically a synergy is really what we're aiming for. If we go to the next slide, I'm all done. Thank you guys, and enjoy the end of your year.
Thanks a bunch, Kyle. Really great to see how all these graphs go upwards, well, almost all of them anyways, despite the crypto winter and all the freezing that we all did. Good to see this motion. Now, one of the highlights definitely has to be SNS of the last year. And when we talked about the SNS like a year ago, you know, like the first SNS1 was just born, and even that one was like a trial SNS more than anything else. And here we are today, the SNS1 transformed into something entirely different, has gotten a ton of siblings, and 3 siblings are about to be born as we speak. Pete, tell us more.
Thank you, Jan. Next slide. Oh, that's the one. Thank you. So as Jan said, 2023 was a big year for service nervous systems. It might be hard to remember, but this time last year, we only had just finished our first run of the launchpad. And now, as we approach the end of the year, we've got 10 additional successful SNSs and 3 more in the pipeline, likely to launch before the end of the year. And this is not thanks just to DFINITY, but also the teams that chose to hand over their projects to an SNS, and the ecosystem which supported the initiative too, with funding or adapting their dApps to the SNS framework. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. So next slide. Some of you may remember that the SNS1 launch had a few issues. There's a few post-mortem write-ups on the forum for those that are interested in the details. But the result was that the DFINITY team really pulled together and worked flat out to address a range of issues to make a better experience for participants and teams. So from dramatically improving the NNS front-end throughput, an improved flow to avoid refund issues, a predictable start time for the swap to avoid participants having to stay up all night, and a testing framework to help teams dry run their SNS creations. And we also used the time to build out missing features in the NNS front end to manage SNS neurons, and the Internet Computer Dashboard was extended to track SNS DAOs too. And the net result was that to everyone's relief and great satisfaction, the next SNS launch swap for OpenChat was generally recognized by everyone as going super smoothly. So a big shout out to everybody that made that possible. But it wasn't just DFINITY working on making the SNS initiative successful. So next slide. The ecosystem was also hard at work. So as a reminder, earlier in 2023, the community had come together in a working group to thrash out the first internet computer standard, ICRC1, which was the agreed fungible token standard. And the SNS1 token ledger was the first token to use this standard. So across the board, we saw wallets and exchanges having the first live ICRC1 token to integrate with. And we saw DEXs come to life as the SNS1 tokens started changing hands for a little more than the one ICP they were first swapped for. ICP Coins kicked off a dashboard project with a view to handing it over to the SNS1. IC Lite, Discover, OpenChat all built out features into their dApps to support various aspects of launches and operations. And meanwhile, a little dragon was quietly creating some drama in the SNS1 ecosystem. It's kind of a story for another day, but the result was the SNS1 became dragons, and the whole ecosystem is eagerly waiting for their game to launch. Next slide. With SNS1 and OpenChat launches under our collective belts, there was some frantic activity in the ecosystem to be the next SNS. A few months passed as teams grappled with the SNS launch parameters, writing up roadmaps, open sourcing code, and security auditing that code. But as they say, when it rains, it pours. So come June, the summer of SNS launch has kicked off with 9 SNS swaps raising 4.2 million ICP for their collective SNS treasuries. But it wasn't all roses. There were 9 failed attempts as the community rose to the challenge of evaluating these SNS proposals and evolving the standards expected for projects to transition to being SNS DAO controlled. Next slide. So whilst all these launches were going on, the DFINITY team continued to work on evolving the SNS framework. This is not a complete list, but some of the highlights. I think the biggest effort was to streamline the SNS creation process to remove all the manual steps. So an SNS can now be proposed, a swap started, and the SNS created by a single NNS proposal. The Neuron Fund also evolved to a match funding model, making it simpler for teams to set the SNS creation parameters and making direct participation a stronger signal for success. And meanwhile, there were 20 updates and releases of the core SNS canisters, which control the ledger, governance, and initial swaps, which all the SNSs rely on. And the NNS front end evolved to add more features for managing SNS maturity and voting. And the SNS part of the internet dashboard is barely recognizable after many, many changes. Next slide. But an SNS DAO is not just about launching, it's about coming together in a shared mission to solve a problem, evolve a dApp, and create a tokenized community. So some of these metrics show progress on these fronts. We've had nearly 1,000 proposals overall, over 200 upgrades of SNS controlled canisters, nearly 200 community motion proposals, and 7 of the 11 SNSs have created on-chain OpenChat communities. OpenChat has added features to enable these communities to make SNS proposals, discuss them, and vote on them all in one place. And on the tokenized community side, we've seen SNS tokens transferred over 500,000 times. Currently, collectively, these tokens have around a $300 million market cap. And the SNS DAOs themselves control around 140 million in tokens to deploy for growth. And across our ecosystem DEXs, we see around $200,000 of SNS tokens changing hands every day. Next slide. So to wrap up, 2023 was a huge year for SNS, but hopefully so will 2024. But the emphasis for DFINITY's SNS work will switch somewhat to going beyond the launchpad and towards helping SNS DAOs be successful. There's a couple of suggestions of how we might do that here, but that will evolve. But I would encourage everyone today to check out the launchpad in the SNS front end, where 3 SNSs are currently looking for participation, and the Internet Computer Dashboard, where you can follow all the ongoing activity of the launched SNSs. Thank you, and back to Jan.
Thank you, Pete. Really great to see all of this, and at this time also want a huge thank you to all the teams that were involved in this, the NNS and the SNS teams, but of course also all the ecosystem developers who offered or submitted their dApps to the NNS to be turned into SNSs, and yeah, really looking forward for this stream of SNSs to grow into River and a ton of cool DAOs in the next year. So let's go and have a look at some more work that the different teams have been doing. Like there's many more teams that contributed to the growth of the Internet Computer Protocol all over the last year. So Samuel, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jan. Yeah, my name is Sam. I lead the DFINITY engineering team, and I'm excited to summarize the many contributions and features our team contributed to ICP in 2023. And preparing for this was very motivating because you go through all the great stuff our team did. And unfortunately, I cannot cover everything. I had to pick a few highlights, and it's still an impressive list. In general, since Genesis, DFINITY R&D shifted from protocol development to working on more user and use case-centric solutions. That goes beyond pure protocol development and includes improvements to developer experience, partnership, identity solutions, and much more. So let's dive in and go to the next slide. We start with developer experience, or more broadly, the functionality that makes devs building dApps on the IC more productive and allows them to ship more powerful dApps. It all starts with listening and a stronger collaboration with community members. I included a QR code to collect developer experience feedback in the corner on the right. So please post your requests and vote on ideas that others have already submitted. We made a significant effort to not only push solutions developed by the foundation, but also other community members. So for example, if you look at the programming language overview in the new dev docs, there is a screenshot on the slide. You can also see Solidity pointing to the Bitfinity EVM and TypeScript and Python solutions pointing to the respective solutions built by the merchant labs. We invested into improving the documentation in general, and there is more to come in 2024. Onboarding as a new developer is now easier than ever before. And I want to highlight a very maybe small example, but I think it's very powerful, and that is deployed to Playground, because it now allows devs to deploy their first canister to the IC without the need for a faucet or vouchers or buying ICP. There are also many core protocol improvements that provide exciting functionality to devs. For example, the new WASM instrumentation improves the speed of TypeScript and Python as on the IC by orders of magnitude. Our researchers landed a great paper at Usenix, positioning ICP as a stateful serverless compute platform. And finally, there have been various Motoko improvements, most notably a significant performance improvement in the garbage collection. Let's go to the next slide. And it is about ICP as an L1 for Web3 applications. The early projects building on ICP were attracted by the 100% on-chain positioning of ICP. And in 2023, there were many contributions from DFINITY to ICP that catered to these Web3 use cases. We have already heard about SNS, which allowed many projects to decentralize and get funding. So I'll not cover that again in detail. But we have also, for example, made access to dApps more seamless. So, for example, their custom domains have been introduced, and the service worker, which proved to be an obstacle in some browsers, was phased out. In general, there was growth, so both the number of canister and the canister state grew in 2023 by about 60%. And this required various performance and scaling related improvements. A subnet can now run more than 100K canisters. And another example is the doubling of the number of query threads enabled by the file-backed page allocator. You can see the list is much longer, but we don't have time to cover them all. I hope you enjoyed using these new features. And so we also worked on more general protocol improvements, and I want to highlight the long-awaited composite queries that simplify the development of multi-canister dApps, or VET keys, which enable on-chain encryption. Here we have released phase 1, which is there to collect early feedback. Last but not least, we contributed many security and robustness improvements. For example, Replica's host OS is now upgradable through NNS, which allows faster reaction to security bugs. Let's now go to the next slide, please. Another big theme of 2023 was cross-chain. We believe that for the foreseeable future, there will be multiple blockchains, and we believe that ICP is well positioned to capitalize on cross-chain orchestration in the most trustless fashion. And so we started the year with the launch of zkBTC, and also the overall or the underlying Bitcoin integration gained a lot of additional attraction, for example, from the Ordinals community. We will later hear from Bob Bodley what he has been up to exactly using this. Throughout the year, we then shifted our attention to Ethereum and launched the ETH twin on ICP called zkETH just a few days ago. And work on a more general purpose EVM RPC canister is ongoing. We expect it to be a very attractive building block for devs building ETH solutions on ICP. Already on to the next slide, please. Next is identity and wallets. No matter whether you build Web3 dApps or cross-chain solutions, or you look for an enterprise blockchain environment, people want to manage their identity and keys, and they also want to see, control, and manage their digital assets. And that's why where we see internet identity or wallet standards in general to chime in. So to make internet identity more user-friendly, we streamlined the onboarding experience significantly. Another powerful new AI feature is the support of verified credentials, allowing privacy-preserving credential sharing. We presented that just a few weeks ago, also in a public global R&D. In the area of wallets, we experimented with a new wallet prototype, which we call OISI. More on this next year. And meanwhile, the NNS has upgraded the NNS frontend app frequently. It received support for zkBTC and also all the SNS related update that Pete mentioned earlier. In general, the ICP ecosystem only thrives if assets and identity solutions are interoperable, and therefore our team worked with the community on a number of ICRC standards. For example, the fungible and non-fungible standards, ICRC 1, 2, and 7. But we are also working with the community on a new signer standard that's ICRC 25 and 21. And finally, assets on ICP get more traction if more people can discover and manage them in their existing wallets and custody solutions, and therefore we contributed various integrations. For example, you can now manage ICP using Ledger Live. Let's go to the next slide, please. Ultimately, decentralization is the foundation of trust in ICP. And I'm happy to report that we made significant improvements in terms of the topology decentralization. Kyle already mentioned some numbers. Additionally, the NNS adopted a new approach to optimize node onboarding and agreed on a target topology. Many new node providers and new nodes were added. And just a few days ago, actually, this target topology was reached. Our NNS team worked not only on the SNS, it also improved the NNS. For example, inactive NNS neurons are now migrated to stable storage, which makes the governance system ready for an increased interest in ICP and staking. Finally, trust is also gained through transparency. And the core protocol now records node metrics, which paves the way to a more fair distribution of node rewards. And additionally, node providers have new endpoint to study the health of their nodes. Let's go to the next slide, please. The efficiency of DFINITY, or the engineering team at least, greatly depends on the underlying infrastructure. And our team has implemented various improvements. For example, the MR pipeline times were reduced by 33%, while more code was added and more complexity is now part of our code base. So we want to make further improvements in this regard because that is really the foundation for speed for our team. Then dynamic testnets allow to use our infrastructure in a more economical fashion and allow to decommission some of the error-prone static testnets. And by moving the IC's observability stack on-prem, we no longer rely on AWS and also had significant cost savings. Finally, let's go to the last slide, please. We engaged in various partnerships and built exciting prototypes and products. I want to mention the voluntary recycling credit platform, which was presented earlier this month at the COP in Dubai, together with a consortium of partners that are determined to create a global recycling credit market, all to happen on ICP. In the city of Lugano, the city's app was extended to support CKBTC payments, and we co-developed a document sharing prototype with a Swiss private bank that illustrates the enterprise potential of ICP. I hope this brief update also shows you or gives you a feeling for the wealth of results and functionality that our team shipped. I want to close with a big thank you to our team and all community members that work together with us to push ICP to the next level. Happy holidays, and back to you, Jan.
Thanks, Samuel. Really crazy how much fitted in that last year, and you did not even mention all of that. It blows my head. And of course, I want to second that thank you. Really huge thank you to everybody doing all this work. It's incredible and makes me know why I'm working here. It's a big pleasure. But of course, we are also doing that not only because it's such a pleasure to work together to build all of this, such a great system, but it is also because we have a great ecosystem and community who love what we're doing and are thriving as well. So I'd love to give the floor here to Lomesh to tell us what has happened in the ecosystem and the community. Please, Lomesh.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Jan. A pleasure to be here. So I'm Lomesh. I'm the head of growth at DFINITY. So one of the first questions that I want to kind of cater is like, what does growth even mean in our ecosystem? So we have a very simple flywheel that we kind of cater. So we think that as a network, if we can become the breeding ground for the most interesting experiments, we'll always like be the most sustainable and scalable network that we can create. So in that view, I think our growth flywheel is something as simple as this, right? We just need to figure out a mechanism to attract strong entrepreneurs and developers, help them win. Sometimes helping them win is like identifying what are the gaps that they have. Sometimes helping them win is like just listen to them and and sometimes it's just like get out of their way and help unblock them in whatever they are trying to accomplish. And then as they build some interesting things, then showcase their success stories and bring them to fruition. And this will essentially help us attract more developers and so on and so forth. Next slide, please. So these are some of the recent activities that as a part of the team we have been focusing on. So one of the first like things that we try to do is like the goal is to scout for like more strong entrepreneurs, developers. So a lot of things that we try to do are around boot camps, hackathons, also some industry partnerships. So these are some of the recent activities that we undertook in the last few months. So there are some hackathons where we see, okay, these are the capabilities of the IC that that have been developed recently. For example, the Bitcoin integration or some of the GameFi related stuff, or all of the capabilities. For example, what Sam was talking about. What we normally try to do is we try to look at, okay, what are the opportunities for us to bring some teams that would essentially start hacking around these like capabilities. And so we organize hackathons geared towards that. Then we also try to partner up with various external institutions as they are running their hackathons, and we try to essentially provide them certain bounties. So for example, what we did in the Ethereum events, or let's say we do some partnership with the likes of, say, Bitcoin Startup Lab. There our team is often present doing mentorship sessions, office hours. And our model is typically like the winners of these hackathons, we try to scout them and try to attract them towards building on IC. We often would give grants as a reward for the hackathon winners. And then the goal is to promising teams to bring them onto IC and funnel them to build something. So these are some of the examples of recent teams that came from the partnership around the Bitcoin Startup Lab and so on. Next slide, please. Another key initiative that we've been running in 2023, this is a quarterly initiative where what we do is we often bring together teams from the ecosystem around specific themes and topics. And they spend some time with our team at DFINITY, and we essentially talk about, like, for example, in February, we had this entire event around DeFi, and then we did a couple more during the course of the year. So one key objective of these events is like to, first of all, foster collaboration between different teams where they can share best practices around things that they have been developing, what's working for them, what's not. And also they can spend some time like with our R&D teams and like essentially do some office hours, share their use cases, what they have been building, help our team at DFINITY also get a perspective of, okay, this is how they are like leveraging the capabilities that have been built, and these are the use cases that they are like trying to accomplish. So I think these kind of interactions have been helping our teams also learn and prioritize our roadmap. So as you can see, like, for example, as we like, once we had done the Bitcoin integration, we had this DeFi related ICP lab that basically got a lot of momentum. Everybody was talking about like, how do we bring Ethereum assets onto the IC, starting with ETH and stable coins and other ERC-20, 721 assets. So that's the kind of prioritization that was fostered as a part of the ICP labs and so on. And these are some of the other initiatives that came as a result of our collaboration with the ecosystem teams. Next slide, please. One of the other things that we started in 2023 and which we'll be actually doubling down a fair bit going forward in 2024 is we started these requests for startups and as well as like DFINITY run bounties. We've also been collaborating with other organizations around bounties, and will clearly continue to do so with organizations like IC devs and so on. So what the objective here is that as we look at like, okay, these are the different things that have been developed as a part of the like IC capability set. We look at, okay, what are the opportunities for teams to contribute and build startups in with specific domains. So we would obviously like spend some time doing more research, what's happening in the industry, and then we would look create like broader spaces. Okay, here are the infrastructure like gaps that we have, so we'll try to fill them through some of the bounties, or we would create an opportunity. Okay, these are the places where we feel somebody can build a great startup by leveraging the capability set that's offered by the IC currently. So this helps us essentially also focus our grants program, the developer grants program, around like specific like things which highlight the unique capabilities of IC. And as you can see, like these are some of the initiatives, like with respect to, we have been able to like use this program to contribute to standards, have been able to do some sample implementation and POCs. For example, we did this Ethereum Light Client integration recently, as well as like demonstrate some more topics around the capabilities. For example, we created from the phase 1 wet keys that we have launched, we have been able to create some reasonable demos by the communities, and so on and so forth. I think next up that's coming in this would be a request for infrastructure. So as we kind of continue developing and as an ecosystem, if you feel that there are infrastructure gaps that you see, there's also the threads on the forum, and our team would be kind of kickstarting a lot of these discussions. So please feel free to share what are the things that you feel missing, and we would like to start focusing more on that. Here's a quick update on the developer grants. So a lot of what our team also works on is like looking at various developer grant applications. So we have obviously various phases. So our team is responsible for first evaluating the grants. After that, once the grants are accepted, then they would like review the milestone, work with the team, offer them feedback, connect them with other engineers at DFINITY, as well as other people in the ecosystem in the community, to essentially help further build their product and bring them in good shape. So till date, we have committed about $17.5 million, and a total of about 14 billion has been dispersed, issued a total of 500 plus grants. And as you can see, it's like split like fairly evenly across Europe, North America, and Asia. I think we are also picking up, thanks to some of our activities from the grassroots movements around hubs, we're also picking up a lot of these regions which have been previously not served as much with grants in Africa and South America and so on. So we hope this share of the pie will continue to increase. One thing I'd also like to mention is like we also track in terms of, so grant is just a first step that would help, let's say, teams build their initial prototypes and so on. So unless you're building a very core piece of infrastructure, oftentimes people would just basically build some simple prototype of apps and so on, and then they would continue to either raise further money through a VC round, or they'll try to kind of get to a stage where they can launch an SNS. So there's a constant like stream of teams that essentially use the developer grants as the first point, and then eventually graduate to be a more active part in the ecosystem. Next slide, please. So this is another initiative that we started. So again, like if you recall the growth flywheel, so one of the big things for us is also ensure that as the teams are getting more successful, as they're building amazing products on top of the network, we also need to highlight as far and wide as possible of all the achievements. So we have started recently, it's been a few months now, where we have a dedicated PR team that's essentially helping the ecosystem. So several teams have been reaching out to us. You can reach out to us at devcoms@dfinity.org if you have any like upcoming major announcements. Then we would basically run it down with our PR agency, and they would essentially work in helping draft op-eds or like get you interview spots at various like crypto and broader media, as well as help maybe craft thought leadership articles and so on. And then, of course, the goal is to then get you the right coverage that you deserve as an ecosystem contributor. Next slide, please. So this is, as you can see, these are some of the recent ecosystem PR highlights that have been first of all, obviously, it's the amazing products that have been built by the ecosystem providers and our entrepreneurs and developers. And then the teams have been working with the PR team to essentially get them published in various different places. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Lamesh. Yes, we move over to the other part of ecosystem, and I'm very happy to hand over to Ricardo. Please take it away.
Hey, Jan, thanks. It's Ricardo here. I'm the Chief of Staff at DFINITY. Started to lead the global marketing and adoption team at the beginning of the year. So who we are basically the team at DFINITY that combines the high-level marketing and communication initiative with this grassroots movement that Kyle and Lomesh have mentioned a few minutes ago. It's composed by the external comms team, the branding and design teams, adoption and community, the events team. We also work a lot on the internal comm side. And it's great to see so many successful metrics have been presented. It's been a pretty busy year also from this side. Just a high level from the what do we do, because today we stand at the forefront of a revolutionary era, a time where we see that the internet computer technology is not just an innovation, but a real beacon of global transformation. And our mission is multifaceted, and our path is clear. First, our marketing and promotional activities are the wings that lift the internet computer to global heights. So by implementing strategies, we really aim to illuminate every corner of the world with the potential of the ICP tech. Community engagement and support form the heart of our endeavor. We are committed to nurturing a vibrant community of developers, users, and enthusiasts, all united by a shared passion for the internet computer's boundless possibilities. When it comes to partnership development, we seek to collaborate with companies, organizations, and other Web3 projects. We aim to weave a network of allies, driving forward our collective vision for decentralizing growth. Education is our cornerstone. By creating and distributing educational materials and collaborating with educational institutions, we really strive to enlighten minds about the wonders of the technology. And because knowledge is power, through education, we really want to empower. Market research help us to evolve, understand the landscape, and always stay ahead of the curve. So it's important that one of the main activities we do is always to analyze trends, other communities, other ecosystems, and craft strategies that ensure that the internet computer remain at the forefront. Events are the stage to the world through industry events and conferences that we both organize or participate through community efforts. We not only share our vision, but also listen, we learn, and we grow. Adoption and decentralization programs are the seeds of change. These initiatives are designed to foster a stronger ecosystem that is not just a concept, but it's a reality. And last is important that we also are committed to collect feedback to continue improve. On the next slide, why are we doing this? Well, first and foremost, our aim is to elevate awareness and visibility in such a competitive blockchain market. It's essential to highlight unique features and benefits of the internet computer. It's not just another player in the field. We are pioneers, and we lead the way in innovation and potential. Our adoption strategy is the roadmap to this goal. It's about strategizing and implementing initiatives that encourage the use of the internet computer across various segments. So we're not just building the tech, but we're also building an ecosystem where every participant finds value and opportunity. Community engagement lies at the heart of our mission. Building, nurturing, and maintaining a strong community is not just a goal, but it's really a commitment. And our broad community of devs, users, and supporters is the lifeblood of the internet computer. Strategic partnerships are our way of extending our reach and enhancing our capabilities. Education is a testament to our belief in the power of knowledge, and market research, as I mentioned, is really a tool for staying ahead, and brand positioning ensure that our messaging is not just consistent, but is also effective. Last, our commitment to enhancing decentralization is key. And on the next slide, also a few words on how we do things and how we do ensure that our strategy is successful. You may or may not be aware, but you often go through such a funnel when you enter into a decision related to any product or any service that you advocate for. Let's begin with awareness. Awareness is mostly is the foundation of the funnel. So in today's awareness is really about social media marketing, is about it's really a powerful way to reach out and connect with millions of people worldwide. And this is usually complemented with events, content marketing, to ensure that we are not just seen, but also heard and understood. And of course, public relationship plays a vital role, helping us to build a strong and positive brand image. Moving down the funnel, we come to interest. So here our approach is to educate and engage. So for example, webinars and workshops serve as a platform for sharing knowledge and sparking curiosity. Email marketing keeps our community informed and connected. Next is consideration. In this stage, we demonstrate real-world impact of the internet computer. So you have testimonials, you have use cases that bring to life the practical application and success of our technology. Developing and deploying application isn't just about showcasing our capabilities, but it's also about inspiring innovation. Engagement is where our community truly comes alive. Through community groups and events like hackathons, we encourage active participation and collaboration. Regular updates and feedback sessions ensure our community is always in the loop and their voices are heard. And finally, advocacy. This is where our community members don't just use our tech, the internet computer technology, but also generate initiatives that showcase the creativity and the commitment broadly. In the next few slides, we go through some of the most important events that happened in 2023. You can see we wanted to split the Web3 from the Web2. That has been kind of like a recurring question on also our communication and initiatives. On the Web3 side, engaging with Ethereum events and Bitcoin events and other ecosystem events have helped also to shape this narrative, as Sam presented, with cross-chain And the Web 2 also helped to gain visibility and understanding of the overall institutional adoption, enterprise adoption. In the next one, you have the most important PR media articles that got published, or some of them. So you can see again that on the Web3 side, it's all about the usual Web3 publications, from the decentralized AI grant program to SNS launches, to partnerships in the Web3 space, to the successful Bioniq launch. In the Web2 space, the recent participation and launch of the VRC initiative at COP28, and the partnership with Sodexo, partnerships in India. In the next one, I just wanted to share a little bit more about the different collaborations that we have initiated in 2023. So again, from collaborating with Women in Blockchain, to the Bitcoin Startup Lab, to the launch of the ICP Asia Alliance in Q3 2023, to the first ICP ETH community conference, joint events in July in Paris, and from the Web2, mostly about the partnership with Roland Berger, the Feder Italy, and the Lugano initiatives with this digital solidarity initiative, and the launch of CKBTC in the My Lugano app. On the next slide, so many different educational initiatives. Again, talking to both Web3 communities as well as Web2. Web2 here is more about like traditional universities or academies that are introducing blockchain related subjects. Web3 has mostly been about languages rather than developer onboarding experiences and so on. And the last slide from me is all about this ICP Hubs program that was initiated in Q1 23. In 2023, we facilitated the creation of 19 hubs, and we have 4 more in the pipeline for Q1 2024 in UK, US, Brazil, and Vietnam. And if you want to know more, you want to join the community, you want to launch a hub, you want to be part of a hub or any community-related initiative, I just drop a QR code here for everybody to scan and get in contact with us. And back to you, Jan.
Thanks a lot, Ricardo. I love this slide and how ICP has spread all over the world. If that is not a good sign for next year, I don't know what is. Also, a huge shout out here to both Lomesh and Ricardo and your teams for all the great work you have done this year. And of course, also to the ICP hubs that started this year, and some of them already have shown quite some impact. And I can't wait to see, I can't imagine even like what they will bring along our way all of next year. It will probably explode somewhere. Looking forward to see all of that. So that closes the review of 2023, and we'll move on to a peek into 2024. And so if you were not excited already, I'm sure Björn will do that job for sure. So Björn, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Jan. And hello, everyone. My name is Björn. I'm DFINITY's head of research. And yeah, I'm happy to give you a short sneak peek into the future. And so before I dig into it, there's 3 things I want to start with. First, I'm only covering things from DFINITY R&D. There's a lot more happening in the ecosystem. So this is just a small part. And it's not even everything that R&D plans to be doing. It's just a selection of features that I hope you will find exciting. So it's my selection that I prepared. Second, not everything is yet represented on the intercomputer.org roadmap. We'll do that as soon as possible. And third, different features I'll be talking about are different stages of the development. Some have just started, others are already almost done. If you want more details, just head over to the developer forum. You'll get more details there. So I want to talk about a few in particular, and I'll first go shortly over some. So one is decentralized boundary nodes. So right now, boundary nodes do two things. First of all, they act as HTTP endpoints that can be contacted by browsers. Second, they do routing of messages to other ICP nodes. And so this feature aims at bringing the routing of ICP messages part under the realm of the NNS, so making this fully decentralized. Then we have improved orthogonal persistence for Motoko. So there have been lots of improvements on stable storage, stable memory on ICP, but Motoko has not yet really benefited from those. So I'm really excited about this one, which will make upgrades a lot faster, give more memory to Motoko canisters. So that's going to be a huge improvement on the Motoko side. There is further developer quality of life improvements like canister snapshots, canister logging, installation of large WASM modules that are larger than a block size, and libraries for making use of certification. So certification has been a great feature, but slightly hard to use. So now there will be new libraries that should make all this much more developer friendly. Then credential support is something that Sam already mentioned. We'll work further into productizing that. And we'll also work into improving the storage architecture of ICP, so how the nodes manage the disk space. And that should then also bring performance improvements and also make it possible to increase the storage size for the subnets. And so I highlighted a few that I want to go through now. So next slide, please. The first one is EVM RPC. So what does it mean? So EVM RPC will enable canisters on ICP to call out to smart contracts on EVM chains. Initially, there will be Ethereum mainnet, but eventually there should be support for L2s, L3s, L4s, L5s, and all the other ones. Why do we want that? Well, true cross-chain applications need to communicate, right? So we have to communicate from ICP canisters to EVM smart contracts if we want to build true cross-chain applications. And one thing I'm particularly excited about here is bringing specific ICP capabilities to the benefit of cross-chain applications that also host part of their services on EVM chains. That includes automation, like canister timers, full on-chain governance, outcalls, oracles, Bitcoin integration, and all the features, more memory, more storage, all the stuff we all love from ICP. How do we do this? Well, there will be a canister that's going to use HTTP outcalls to go through EVM RPC providers. And essentially the core idea is calling an EVM smart contract should be as easy as calling another canister on ICP. Next slide, please. So then we already do have CK-BTC and CK-ETH on the intercomputer. What the team is working on now is bringing generic ERC20 tokens to ICP. In particular, that will mean USDC and USDT. So why? Well, on many other platforms, stablecoins are kind of the lifeblood of DeFi. And while we do have a decentralized stablecoin called Thaler, backed by CK-BTC on the intercomputer, it's also fair to say that generally fiat-backed stablecoins provide a large part of the lifeblood to DeFi. And so this is amazing to then finally have this on the intercomputer as well. How this is going to work? We're going to have ICRC1/2 ledgers. The minter will resemble very much the minter for CK-ETH, and everything is going to be one-to-one backed by tokens on Ethereum main. Next slide. So then another feature that the team is working on right now is subnet rental. So what does it mean? So the goal is to enable ICP to create subnets that are exclusively used and paid for by individual projects. And so there may be several reasons for this. So some projects may want to have specific subnets geographies. So they may have nodes in particular regions and not widely distributed over the entire planet. There are some projects that want to have the entire capacity of a subnet reserved for them without being shared with other projects on the same subnet. And in both cases, they must be willing to then actually pay for the resources, meaning the entire subnet that they're using. So how do we do this? There will be subnets that will not charge cycles for canisters for resource use, but instead there is one specific NNS controlled canister that will take care of charging cycles for the entire subnet. And due to potential lower decentralization, at least in a geographic sense, if the nodes are located in few countries, we will also ensure that the protocol will kind of isolate these subnets a bit more from the other subnet in terms of trust assumption. Next slide. So then one great feature that I'm really excited about is threshold Schnorr signing. So several other blockchain ecosystems. So right now we support threshold ECDSA signatures. Several blockchain ecosystems use signature schemes based on Schnorr. This is, in a sense, Schnorr is similar but simpler in a sense than ECDSA. So the threshold protocol will be a variant of the one we have, basically just simpler. And why is this exciting? Well, I mean, it supports Bitcoin's taproot transactions, which is great for ordinals, which is great for BSC20 tokens, and generally, taproot signatures are just more flexible on Bitcoin. So there's a lot of use cases still to be explored. This can also be used to support non-EVM ecosystems that are more likely to use Schnorr signatures, such as Solana or Cardano in cross-chain applications. How do we do this? Well, basically, we built a new threshold protocol. It's a simplified version of the ECDSA protocols, and then make this available to different cryptographic curves. First, the Bitcoin one, so that we'll be looking into further integration with Bitcoin, and then later ED25519, which is also used by several blockchain ecosystems. Next slide, please. And then the last one I want to talk about is on-chain encryption. So this is VET keys. It's basically the phase 2 of the VET keys, phase 1 that Sam mentioned earlier. And here the idea is to enable dApps running on ICP to securely maintain cryptographic keys that they can use to encrypt and decrypt user data. So this really brings privacy into the blockchain picture. dApps will be able to securely encrypt data that they store on the internet computer, and of course also decrypt. There's also other use cases. This can be used, for example, to prevent front-running attacks by encrypting messages, sending them to the canister, and then have the canister decrypt, after which the message is public, but that's fine if it prevented a front-running attack until then. So what we have to do is, of course, implement a new threshold BLS functionality, and then this will satisfy the same API that the phase 1 smart contract implementation already provides. That's it from me.
Thanks so much, Björn. I am very excited, and I mean, not only about the last two things, which will be groundbreaking cryptography, and also like reminds us why this space is called crypto, because of all the cryptography that can really be done here and how this can change huge things. It also demonstrates how, I mean, like what Ricardo says, like we are pioneers in this space. It's just not like another blockchain, but it's really like a fundamentally different blockchain. And I don't think anybody else can really pull this off. And it will demonstrate once more how ICP is the leader in this space. I can't wait to see this all in operation and what the community, the developers out there are all building with these new features. So, because we come to the last part, it is my pleasure to have Bob Bodley here this time. There's so many reasons why it had to be Bob demonstrating his latest and greatest today. I mean, 2023 was too many, and because most of us, the year of ordinals and inscriptions on Bitcoin. And ICP was no stranger to this hype. Well, for one, of course, because Bob Bodley built Bioniq, which we'll shortly see, but also because we had a lot of inscriptions on ICP ledgers, ICP CKBTC, ICP I ledgers by Mora and the Ghost team and the CKBRC20 team. So it was really a fun place to be the last couple of weeks. But Bob is also like a true ICP OG and an ICP ambassador to the Bitcoin world and I guess the crypto world in general. So it's a great pleasure to have you here, Bob. And yeah, the floor is yours. Please take it away.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm going to run you through. Are we okay on time? I know we're running a little bit over. Should I go 5 minutes? You want the full 10 minutes? I can squeeze it in.
As long as you don't go into 2024, we're all good. Thanks, Bob.
With everything going on, you know, we could be here for the next week and a half, and we could just be talking, you know, straight through. But okay, so this is the latest and greatest on Bioniq. If you signed up in the first few, well, it would have had to be the first few hours. We got 15,000 users in our first day. We airdropped these 4 collections. We partnered with 2 different creators. We had the Boxy team that airdropped their baby Boxy collection. And then we had another creator that launched the Chib project. And then we launched 2 collections as well, just so we could get some you know, traction on the marketplace. So that's been really good. You can see volumes are pretty low, maybe like 0.25, 0.3 Bitcoin so far. But we didn't expect anything crazy here. We just wanted to launch, have everything work, have a really nice functional marketplace. You can see, you know, we're featuring collections that we've launched as well as other collections on here. You can see all inscriptions that have been thrown on Bitcoin. Anyone can put anything that they want on Bitcoin. You can see if I remove this image filter, we also have a whole bunch of what I would call meta protocol transactions here. These are BRC20 transactions. These are people minting fungible tokens on Bitcoin using a meta protocol standard. So there's tons and tons and tons of these. We can just browse back through. You can see we're almost up to 50 million inscriptions, which is pretty crazy. There's probably over half of these are meta protocol transactions, which are like 60 byte JSON objects, minting or deploying or transferring tokens on DeFi. It's essentially Bitcoin DeFi. You can see that we have, you know, my inscriptions view. You can come in and see your inscriptions, and you have all of the kind of base marketplace functionality. You can list, you can specify a listing price, you can auction. So these are fully featured English auctions. And then the nice thing is you can see that these are reserved. This is a new a new kind of ordinal that I'm calling reserved ordinals. Reserved ordinals are unique because they take advantage of the beauty of ICP plus Bitcoin. So reserved ordinals are not on Bitcoin yet. They're off Bitcoin, and they are a tokenized right to inscribe an image as part of a collection. So what this means is this image right here is by default part of the Chib collection. You can see it's part of the verified Chib collection, but it's not on Bitcoin yet. However, I can just come here and hit inscribe, and I'm the only one who can inscribe this image as part of this collection. And I can inscribe it whenever I want, and it's tokenized, so it's immediately tradable. So we're leveraging the, you know, the speed and the low cost nature of ICP in order to give creators and collectors more flexibility when they launch collections. So essentially a creator can come to Bioniq and launch a collection almost for free. And collectors can then go and whether it's an airdrop or they can purchase, and then they can immediately trade that, you know, like 30 seconds after they purchase. You know, it's just purchase, wait for it to hit your wallet, list, and then you're off to the races. And then even in a high Bitcoin fee environment, you can go and you can inscribe the image to Bitcoin whenever you want. You can wait, you know, for low fees on Bitcoin. So it just gives people a lot of flexibility. And we're finding that this, like the hybrid nature of ICP and Bitcoin, it's like peanut butter and jelly or peanut butter and Nutella, or, you know, pick your 2 favorite foods that go really well together. And that's like ICP and Bitcoin. Bitcoin is so limited in what it can do. There's no smart contract functionality. Storage is incredibly expensive. It's slow. It's massively decentralized and very, very secure. So pair that with ICP, which is like a nimble, fast, affordable, you know, sharded blockchain. And so they just make really, really good companions. It's like a match made in heaven. I did want to show off, we have a launch pad that we're releasing here in the next couple of days. You can see we're doing some tests right now. So a creator can come and can fill out our application form, and then we will have launches here similar to, other NFT launch pads. It'll have all of the same functionality. Again, we're leveraging reserved ordinals here, plus the, awesome programmability we get on ICP. And so you can do anything that you want. You can have multiple pricing groups, multiple whitelist groups. You can have multiple tiers of pricing. You can do, Dutch auction style launches. It's basically anything that you could do previously with our other launchpad. We've been able to port that over to Bioniq. So very, very excited about this. Just a quick backdrop on Ordinals. Ordinals, this is the year of Ordinals marketplace trading. You can see that Ordinals have done over $1.3 billion in volume over the last year. You can see some of the major competitors, but Bioniq isn't on this Dune dashboard yet, but we need to get it on there. You can see OKX has a bunch of market traction. Unisat in the yellow and Magic Eden in the orange are probably the top 3 players in the Ordinals ecosystem. But you can see that, there was a massive spike from May to July, massive, not as massive as what we've seen in November and December. So there's a lot of traction here. This Ordinals traction has brought about, I would call it a renaissance on Bitcoin. A renaissance on Bitcoin, meaning there are more builders, there's more innovation, there's more interest, there's more money in it from a collector standpoint. There's more VC money in it. There's more interest from people looking to invest in companies. And as I pitch ICP to Bitcoiners, it is the best that I've ever had, the best reception that I've ever had selling ICP cross-chain. If I go to like the Ethereum ecosystem, there are a lot of challenges that I haven't seen when pitching to the Bitcoin ecosystem, which is fantastic for what we're doing with Bioniq. One other quick thing that I wanted to mention, I know if you haven't seen it, Loka doing a fully decentralized Bitcoin mining pool on ICP, super exciting, really fun way to kind of combine the benefits of ICP and Bitcoin. And then I did put together this quick list of how ICP can make Bitcoin better. I think this is my key value proposition for ICP right now, is how can we make Bitcoin better? And there are a million ways that ICP can make Bitcoin better. A few of them, just to highlight really quick, really fast Ordinals Marketplace and Launchpad. This is what we're doing with Bioniq. BRC20 token wrapper. There's already something in progress here between Bioniq, Sonic, and DFINITY, which is really exciting. We have incredible Bitcoin primitives, DCDSA, Bitcoin Light Node, CKBTC. This means we can build everything at the application layer, which means development is fast. I think ICP is the fastest way to build a Bitcoin application right now, which is really awesome. Indexers for Bitcoin meta protocols are all centralized. And so there is a lot of opportunity here for building decentralized indexing services, decentralized inscription services, decentralized meta protocol indexers. I'm very excited for Threshold Schnorr because we've seen massive use of Taproot transactions as people get more interested in Bitcoin. BitVM is leveraging Taproot transactions. That's like a way to do arbitrarily large compute on Bitcoin itself. Taproot assets and Lightning are starting to use Taproot transactions more. So Threshold Schnorr will kind of cement our ability to interact and build interesting Bitcoin applications. There's Explorer, Node and Explorer implications here, where we could build decentralized Bitcoin Explorer for the very first time. There's obviously the true DAO use case. You can do full stack DAOs for Bitcoin, whether it's native L1 Bitcoin or whether it's wrapped with CKBTC. We can also plug in on the Oracle side. A DLC is a discrete log contract, which is just a Bitcoin script that has unlock conditions unlocked by some third-party Oracle. Well, you could decentralize that third-party Oracle on ICP. There's the decentralized mining pool that I mentioned that Loka's building. And then I think this is a really interesting one, building rollups on ICP. There's a lot of opportunities for decentralized sequencers by default on ICP because you have decentralized compute. And even Validiums, if you're familiar with like a Validia chain, it's essentially using off-chain storage and then storing a proof of storage on the L1. So you get greater scale with Validia chains. So Very, very excited about all things ICP and Bitcoin. If you're interested in building any of these things, please come talk to me. Very excited to help push all of these ideas forward and help, ICP become the world's greatest Bitcoin sidechain. I mean, we all know it can do a lot, but it can also be a really good Bitcoin sidechain. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that was like an exciting talk to start with. I'm looking forward to have some more additions from your work back on my wall here, but also more exciting to get, see what comes out of all this whole list that you have, how this whole project develops, the whole world of Bitcoin and ICP, what the children of that match in heaven. Let's feed them, grow them, get more children born. So that concludes the end of this Global R&D. Remains for me to wish you thanks a lot for attending. Thanks for your patience and happy holiday. See you next year. Bye-bye.